Okay, well, let's come to you on this. When this matter first arose, it seems to be that there is a little bit of a conflict on the roles and positions of the executive secretary and the governing council. First off, let's understand the role of the executive secretary of the NCNB. What can you tell us about this?
Honestly, when I read about what happened, I felt really disappointed in the minister. This minister has a PhD in environmental rights and all that, but he has acted like someone thoroughly ignorant of the law, civil service rules and all that. We are talking about when you call someone the chief executive officer and accounting officer of an agency of government, or even a company for that matter. You tell me that he cannot move staff. He can't move staff from one department to another. He has to take permission from you to move staff who work under him. I don't know which law he's talking about. He has to quote the law. He has to be explicit. He has to show us. Because look, what we are talking about here, the act setting up the oil and gas, the local content in our country is not radically different to, for example, the act setting up the NDDC in terms of the role of the chief executive officer. In this case, the executive secretary is the chief executive officer. And the law gives him the power of day-to-day running of that agency of government. It doesn't vest that power in the minister. The minister is simply punching above his weight. And when you punch above your weight, you get punched in the mouth. You may either go to sleep like Ngannou went to sleep against Anthony Joshua. After all, Mike Tyson said the other day that everyone thinks they stand a chance until they get punched in the mouth. The minister may think that is making sense, but it is clear that, look, selfishness is what is at stake here.
Right.
You cannot, in your own role as the minister, your role is supervisory. You must not be seen to be involved in the day-to-day running of the agency of government. You can't. I've not seen anywhere that they will call someone chief executive officer who cannot transfer people. Eh? Andrew Anlon is the chief executive officer of TVC here. Who will say that he cannot transfer people? And he's exercised that power in his time here. You can't, even a head of department can move people to different units within his department. What is the minister saying? We don't want this kind of executive lawlessness. We don't want it. We need peace. The minister has done something wrong. He has to retrace his steps. Now, what are we seeing? Labor leaders. Labor leaders, within the group, within the, they too have now said, oh, we are going on strike. And Pengasan called them to say no. Because Pengasan is the umbrella body. They said, no, you can't go on strike. This is not a matter for you. You will see clearly that they are being used. They are being used to compromise the smooth running of that place. A man who had just come into a place. When did they inaugurate them the other day, Mojid?
December 13.
Less than 3 months.
He moves into a place, he sees areas where he thinks that he should make changes. Because you are a minister. You now step out of line to say, no, look at what he did. All the people concerned, there are just 6 persons that this man transferred to. 6 persons. Ifeanyi Ukoha currently General Manager, Finance and Accounts, moves to the position of Acting Director, Finance and Personnel Management, based in Yenagoa, and reporting to the Executive Secretary. Mofe Megbele, currently Manager, Stakeholders Management, moves to the position of STA, that is Senior Technical Assistant, based in Yenagoa, reporting to the Executive Secretary. Chidima Adiele, currently Manager, Human Resources Management, moves to the position of Manager of Corporate Communications, based in Yenagoa. Gloria Onajero Osiebe, currently Senior Manager, Learning and Development, moves to the position of AGGM, Human Resources. Then Mildred S. Brown, currently Officer Regulatory Compliance of the Legal Services, based in Yenagoa, reporting to the Director of Legal Services, shall maintain the same job and thereby relocated to Abuja office, reporting to the Director of Legal Services. Then the final person, Obina Ofili, moves to the position of advisor, reporting to the Executive Secretary, pending for that reassignment. You as minister then forwarded a mail to all the staff and said they should ignore these transfers. This is rascality, Esther. And these are the kind of things that we say we do not want to see. When the other day, EFCC, DSS went to EFCC office here in Lagos, and they were trying to do some of the nonsense that we used to see in previous administration. We came here and we said, no, Mr. President must step in. This nonsense must not happen under your watch. And the president called the two groups and warned them, stay away from that place. They were going to embarrass the government. This is what we are trying to see, we are seeing now. Especially when Labour evidently compromised and now they've jumped into the fray rather than find a way to achieve a solution. What is wrong in transferring people? What is wrong if Lokpobiri has a company of his own and is the CEO? Won't he transfer people? Or will he say that no, I will not transfer people, let somebody else do the transfer for me? It is only the Executive Secretary that is a full-time member of the board. The rest of them, they can't work full-time, and you can't behave like you want to be working full-time. If you try to do that, you'll be resisted. Because this is just a needless exercise of impotent power.
MJ, from what BKO is saying, it's an executive lawlessness. But from your perspective, what are the likely implications of this, especially as it concerns Nigeria's oil and gas industry? Do you see it affecting investor confidence in this case?
Of course. You see, I become sad when I hear things like this. You have a minister who people in the industry see as a demigod. I mean, you should be up there because you are representing the interest of the president.
Yes.
That ministry is very key. Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Resources. Very, very key ministry. There are very, very far more important things in that place.
Yes.
We expect that.
Oil theft going on.
Apart from oil theft, in December, NNPC claimed that they have completed mechanical completion of Port Harcourt refinery. Today is March 12th. No single drop of crude oil, which is the, single diesel, which is the easiest. We have not seen from that, has been refined, from that Port Harcourt refinery. Now you are going to Nigerian Content Monitoring Development Board to cause problems there. Now, see, let me break it down. There are several agencies under the ministry where it superintends on behalf of the president. I mean, since the days of Obasanjo, that ministry is the president that assumes the role of a petroleum minister, while there will be a minister of state. It's akin to the CBN governor, Cardoso, saying that some departments, like banking supervision department, should move to Lagos. And for Wale Edun to come and say, no, it will not happen.
Because he's coordinating.
Because I'm coordinating Minister of Economy. I mean, that is just...
Replica of what is happening.
Is what is happening. Now, we also have agencies like PTDF under the same ministry. So it means Lokpobiri is so jobless that he now sees to the day to the, for a minister to descend so low and be writing
to the staff.
For a senior staff.
Not just senior, he wrote to all the staff.
To all the staff, individually, a minister of Petroleum Resources.
There's no job to do now. No job to do.
Haba. I mean, it's...
And we have issues in that ministry.
With serious issues.
The
serious
question
issues.
is, he is not even the substantive minister. The president is the minister.
The president is the minister.
Did the president give him
such an
that power?
Such power to go out of the powers allocated to him by the Constitution, by the Acts?
No, Jay, have you forgotten that? Just last week, the president, in view of things like this, signed an executive order.
Yes.
Executive order for the oil and gas sector to ease, in terms ease of doing business, that will enhance the ease of doing business. Now, the president, in his wisdom, appointed Felix Ogbe as executive secretary. That man...
He used to work at Chevron.
At Chevron. He has 2 master's degrees, one in civil engineering.
You are not an
the
expert.
other... We are not an expert.
Subject matter
the president appointed this person. Go there. He's from Warri, so you can't say it's not from South. Man is from Warri. Go and look into that place. Look at the things. The same way they removed the Simbi Wabote, the former executive secretary, because of this same Lokpobiri. So I think the president should, as the substantive minister in that ministry, weigh in and give a directive to Lokpobiri, Heineken, to allow the executive secretary to function. If I were him, anybody that fails to adhere to these new postings, they should be sent packing.
Send them packing.
What kind of thing is that? And now the minister is using the chairman of the union. That one too feels like he has wings that we treat.
I learned that many of them, because of the way the minister has been made, many of them have been even writing directly to the minister.
That's very wrong.
You know, bypassing the ES.
The ES.
That's why I call what is going on lawlessness. It's executive rascality and lawlessness. We have moved beyond that point as a country. If we want to achieve a better country, some of the things of the past that people used to do and get away with it, that somebody will stand and say, look, do you not recognize me? Don't you know I am so person? Is that how to run big agencies of government? That's not the way to run them. It's not your duty to run the person permitted, given that power, to run that place on a daily basis is that executive secretary, not you.
And this also brings to question the election or the choice of these ministers. They might be selected based on political reasons. Do you think perhaps the president needs to rethink his choice of appointing individuals in certain positions, prioritizing their capability as against political affiliations and the likes?
You will never know who will perform until you've given them a chance. Some people, you think they will fail, they go there and perform. Some people, their qualification, their academic qualification will not be in sync with the ministry you send them to, and they will do well. Look at Tam David West, virologist.
Yeah.
And it's in my mind the best
so far
petroleum minister we've ever had.
Yeah.
The record is there. His achievements, getting OPEC to give Nigeria more quota, greater production quota. It was David West that did it. That was the apogee of Nigeria's strength as an oil-producing nation. Not today that we've been overtaken by at least two countries in Africa. Even war-torn country, Libya, overtook Nigeria as an oil-producing nation. So the president has given you a chance. He's not supposed to come and do the job for you. When you are given a job as an anchor, read the news, anchor programs, You don't expect the person who gave you the job to come and sit beside you and be doing it for you. It's your duty to do that job. Nobody does it for you. That's the way it should be. Lokpobiri exploited the fact that the board was dissolved back then and moved in and began to relate directly with staff. No minister should do that, except an idle minister. You can't be relating with the staff.
Rajide, as a matter of fact, the minister is trying to bring that office to disrepute, because normally the communication should be from the permanent secretary to the executive secretary, not to the minister or to the staff. Now
Yes,
you see a minister
writing them directly.
The minister communicating not with general managers. You see, the hierarchy is in such agencies. You have the executive secretary, you have the general manager, then you have the directors, then you have senior managers. You now see a minister jumping above executive secretary, a GM, and the directors to communicate with senior managers. I mean, it's a thorough breach of protocol and sheer lawlessness and abuse of executive power. Normally, the executive secretary should liaise with the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Energy Resources. And the minister too, if he's transmitting a memo to the executive secretary, it should come through the permanent secretary. Now, you see a minister, because you want to wield power, writing directly, signed by him.
To the whole staff.
To all staff.
I'm saying don't disregard your posting.
Haba.
He's trying to create some level of lawlessness
in that place.
Right, I understand we have lawyer Jerry Udeme, and he joins us via Zoom to give his perspective on this issue we're discussing at the moment. Good to have you on the program this evening. So let's get your thoughts on the crisis happening right now in the NCDMB. What you make of this, and how do you think it can be resolved?
Let me just add to that. The minister claimed that Section 101 of the Act claims that the executive secretary had no power to move the staff. He said, in fact, let me quote, the ES does not have the power to redeploy, appoint, or employ management staff. As a lawyer, I would like, conversant with the law, we would like you to explain to us whether indeed, as the chief executive officer, the ES did not have the power to move staff around the way he has done.
Well, thank you so much. My name is Jerry Edemeka. Jerry Edemeka. Okay. And I would like to just give my thoughts on this unfortunate situation. I have read some articles. I've heard a lot of rumblings going on this issue. And let me quickly say that it's one of the very unfortunate things in our styles of governance. And without any iota of doubt, without any iota of ambiguity, let me say clearly that the law, particularly Section 81, Sub 2, Paragraph A of the Act establishing this board, fuses power on one entity. The Act intentionally fuses the critical functions of the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, and that of the Chief Accounting Officer of the board in one person, which is the Executive Secretary. So in other words, the Executive Secretary is both the Chief Accounting Officer of the board and the Chief Executive Officer of the board. And because he is the Chief Executive and the Chief Accounting Officer, the day-to-day, even the Act says the day-to-day running of the board, the day-to-day performance, carrying out the functions of the board rests on the Chief Executive Officer. And by conventions, by practice, by usages and custom, not even to talk of the law, when a person is a Chief Executive Officer, certain rights, certain powers are vested in him. So the the law, the act did not fuse the power, did not make him a chief executive officer for nothing. If he's the chief executive officer and he's also the chief accounting officer, and he cannot reshuffle, he cannot move a staff from one position to the other so as to enhance performance, to enhance service delivery, then it would be very unfortunate. That would be a very serious misunderstanding of a function of a chief executive officer. And of course, when we are talking about one of the essential elements of governance in any organization, like the board, entails an effective and prudent management of people and processes by the chief executive officer for the effective performance of said functions and for service delivery. That is, how can the chief executive officer manage processes and people? It entails shuffling them, moving one person to the other for more effective performance. So the executive secretary, as the chief executive officer and the chief accounting officer, by virtue of section 81, sub 2 of the act, has the power to reshuffle. The only power that is not directly vested in him is the power to appoint. And the reason for that is very clear, because it is a public board. It's a public board. It's a public company. So most often the job of appointing is not vested in one individual. Otherwise, the chief executive officer would have appointed. I read in some papers that the minister started appointing even before the board was constituted. That is, every appointment the minister made in the absence of the board is completely illegal. The minister has no power. He doesn't even have to interfere in the day-to-day running of the affairs of that board. This is ministerial rascality.
Yes.
Ministerial lawlessness.
Yes.
How can a minister descend into the arena of the day-to-day running of the affairs of the board, which has been particularly assigned to the chief executive officer, and begin to appoint people, and begin to make appointments, and even went so far to reverse an ordinary act of governance, an ordinary act of reposting, reassignment, reshuffling of the duties of certain officers. This is very unfortunate, and I must say is very shameful to hear that in the 20th century, a minister that's a lettered minister will do that. Has he not read the act? That this is the chief executive officer, that this is the chief accounting officer, and he started appointing in his absence. I feel so sad about this. It's completely lawless. He doesn't have the power to do that.
Right. With that being said, now, what would you propose as the best way to resolve this crisis, seeing that there isn't any powers given to the minister to do what he just did right now in the agency? What is left to resolve? What can be done to resolve the situation?
Well, the situation, what I feel should be done to reverse it, because at the end of the day, crisis does not benefit any person. It is the Nigerians that will suffer, because once there is no uniformity of mind, if there's no harmony in the board and people are fighting, the objective set out by the act will not be fulfilled, and Nigerians will be the ones suffering. The local content, which is the essence of that board, will not be perfected. So I think what should be done is to try to promote anything that will bring harmony, and then the first step to do that is for the minister to reverse the letter which he illegally, unlawfully, brazenly dispatched to staff. He has no business dealing with staff directly. Yes. He has no business dealing with staff. The business of dealing with staff in day-to-day is that of the chief executive officer. So the minister, as a step forward to peaceful coexistence, should withdraw the letter. That illegal document that he circulated, he should be courageous enough. He should be a statesman enough to withdraw that letter, and then the two of them can work together for the peaceful productivity of that board. So I think the first step is the withdrawal of the letter. And then the chief executive officer also should try to liaise with the minister. Should try to liaise with the minister at least to maybe for purposes of, for whatever it means, to consult with him and not to take directives on duties that are specifically his. But consultation will not do him any harm. He can consult with him for the harmony. But I think just so that we can move forward, because we need peace in that board.
BKO, let's have your thoughts on the perspective shared by Mr. Udemeka. What do you make of it?
I agree absolutely with him. His views tallied with some of the views that I expressed earlier. The minister has no reason to do the things that he has done. And I think that the president needs to confront this minister with what he has done and let him realize that he has stepped out of line. It's possible to make mistakes. As I said earlier, he's not a lawyer. Yes, he has a PhD, but his PhD is in environmental matters, you know, not on legal matters. So we can excuse his ignorance and his behavior. But this sort of behavior should not be continued. There has to be a way in which ministers realize that they have no business getting involved in civil service, the way the civil service is conducted. Even a part of what created problems for Beta Edu is this sort of thing. Trying to get involved in how some of the parastatals under her ministry are being run. Stay in your lane, day your day.
You have to go colloquial.
Day your day. I mean, don't unnecessarily take a cheap shot at controversy. This is what this minister has done. He has taken a cheap shot at controversy. Now look at what I read. What Business Day. Yeah. Clearly, a big voice when it comes to financial and economic matters in our country. Go and read what they had to say about this matter.
You know, as a matter of fact,
needless.
Since December 14, when Felix Ogbe assumed office, they have not allowed him to work at all. And you know, that board, the Nigerian Content Development Board, was set up to ensure that in 10 years, we achieve 100% Nigerian content, especially in the oil sector. We're in the 6th year of that target, and they are already at about 54%. So with this kind of interference, with this kind of prognosing, quote and unquote, from the minister, how are they going to meet that target in the next 4 years? Because this man has a 4-year mandate, and apparently,
the way of his work,
they have wasted 3 months. He has not been able to do anything. Now, he gives directives to a senior manager. A senior manager will go and write minister, and minister will now write the executive secretary that, no, I mean, for a minister to descend so low, to be communicating with all staff, I mean, it's not communicating with staff of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. No, there's a Ministry of Petroleum Resources. This is an agency under the ministry, and you are going to communicate with all the staff. Then you should start communicating with the NUPRO, that's the former DPR. Right. It should be communicating with NMPC, yes. Communicate with
it should be doing their work for them.
It should be doing their work for them, and be ensuring that even a janitor is moved from one office to the other.
If they want to transfer a janitor, it should get in the way. So you can't move him. That cleaner, I like that cleaner. I like the way that cleaner.
There are bigger problems in the sector. The problem of oil theft every day that is happening. You have your Port Harcourt.
Meet our target.
The Port Harcourt refinery.
The refineries, all the refineries, not one is working.
And they said they have achieved mechanical completion since December.
That one Nigerians will chop. They want to see
crude oil. Want to see petrol.
Petrol
want to see petrol and diesel and aviation fuel. And we are there writing memo to
all staff.
clearly there should be other concerns that should
Even
be
we that
focused.
we have smaller units to manage,
Right.
we still deal with
We delegate
our direct
forces.
instead of dealing directly with
With internal
everybody.
matters.
I mean, this is
Minister,
Well,
this is a low one. On
yeah,
the
then
minister,
indeed,
and
yeah,
he should know it.
yeah, indeed, like I was saying, there
This is a
concerns
minister
that,
that should be interested in the dispensation of justice.
Right.
When he was cheated over the Bayelsa governorship election, he made the world realize that he was cheated. And some of us condemned the conduct of the primaries back then. Now, somebody that we defended in those days, we are seeing him going against the extant law
well,
of the civil service.
and descending into a ridiculous arena. I mean, it's just not right.
well, let's hope this matter gets addressed fully for the sake of the benefit of Nigerians, if I would say.